Wonderful. So thank you for joining. And today we actually have three speakers who are going to be speaking to us. We have Farah Diba. Oh, there's more people coming. Sorry. Just
I can handle that, Ashley. Don't worry about it.
perfect. She is the representative. She's a Women 20 delegate for Indonesia. And we also have Bruna Canal. She is from Brazil. She's a biologist, and she's also going to be speaking today. And we have Professor, I cannot see you, Professor Pillay. No, where she's there. There you are, Professor Pillay. So good to see you. She's joining in from South Africa. So we have an incredible lineup of speakers, and the purpose of the session is for all to connect and network with each other. We're all joining from different parts of the world, and this is what DPOW, Digital Power of Women Conference, is about: is how can we engage a global community together on shared themes that impact all of us, and how can we all work together? As Shanali was mentioning in the previous calls, we had engagement from university students. Actually, Virginia Littlejohn, she's actually part of W20. She was in those sessions as well, and they were very productive. And we want to continue to engage a global audience. So this is part of the objective with this call as well. But I will give the floor to our speakers. I think that we can maybe have Bruna go first, and then Farah Diba, and then Professor Pillay. Does that work? So I'm going to spotlight. Just spotlight. Great, wonderful. And I know that you had a video that you wanted to share, Bruna. So let me know if you're comfortable sharing, or I can share it as well.
Okay, maybe you can share. It's more easy for me.
Okay, great. You let me know when you want me to share.
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here to speak about such an essential topic, the role of human in nature conservation and how this connects to sustainable development. Well, I only have 10 minutes, so I'd like to briefly introduce myself, share details about the project I've been working on, and some challenges and maybe some possible solutions. My name is Bruna, and I have been working in social environmental projects for over 10 years. And 2 years ago, I co-founded the project named Escola do Mar, because I believe that empower young human leaders is essential for the social environmental transformation needed to regenerate our planet. I'm talking from Brazil, in the south of Bahia. Escola do Mar operates in Banco dos Abrolhos, or in English, Abrolhos Reef. This region is in the south of Bahia, in Brazil. It's a unique ecosystem that hosts the greatest marine biodiversity in the South Atlantic. According to the Conservation International in Brazil, these natural areas support 8,000 tourism jobs and 20,000 artisanal fishers, while also being home to traditional communities that depend on the ecological balance for their food security. However, this paradise is under constant threat. We face challenges such overfishing, unregulated tourism, urban and industrial expansion, and the lack of leaderships by local communities, especially in when you talk about women. In this challenge context, Scholar Mar was creating, providing training for young women in topics such as ocean literacy, protected areas, ocean conservation, and human leaderships. Our mission in the project is not only to promote gender equality, but also to cultivate young humans leaders who will help us to protect this natural heritage for future generations. And we aim to empower these humans to become transformative agents in their communities, reinforce the idea that caring for the ocean it also means caring for their own lives and their community. To make this training possible, we established a networking of 26 partner organizations engaged in social biodiversity conservation in Abrolhos territory. And in over 1 year, these young humans exchanged knowledge with this organization and participated in field trips to natural areas and the cultural site of traditional communities. Moreover, we formed partnerships to provide also knowledge about individual and collective care, human health, physical care, and mental well-being. The project was a success, and we trained 15 young humans from communities and offered a lot of workshops and 6 field trips visiting protected areas and traditional communities. As a result, this young human developed a project for public use of a municipal park in their city that had been closed, which mobilized residents to pressure the local government to reopen it. So now we are in this phase, and uh, if you can put the video for me, maybe we can
Yes.
see and know more about Escola do Mar, and then I can finish my talk.
Great. Let me play that real quick. Can everyone see my screen? Go ahead and play it.
Yes.
Perfect.
A Escola do Mar é um projeto que nasceu na região dos Abrolhos, no extremo sul da Bahia. Um lugar muito especial que abriga a maior biodiversidade marinha de todo o Brasil e é palco para importantes áreas naturais protegidas e uma pulsante riqueza histórica e cultural. Um espaço de acolhimento que, além de fortalecer o pertencimento com o território, também traz um ambiente seguro para as expressões artísticas e pessoais, tendo como um dos pilares o empoderamento feminino.
Depois que eu comecei a fazer parte da Escola do Mar, eu comecei a ver o mundo em geral de outra forma.
Fez eu aprender muita coisa nova, muita coisa diferente, fez eu me interessar por coisas que, eu pensei que eu nunca fosse gostar.
E acho que, além do conhecimento, acho que a gente está criando uma comunidade muito importante, uma família, assim, sabe?
Experiência inesquecível. Eu vou guardar essas lembranças pro resto da minha vida, né?
Eu espero que elas se reconectem com o mar e que elas possam ser protagonistas das próprias vidas, sabe?
O mar, pra mim, o mar é cura.
O mar, vida.
Se não existe mar, não existe a gente. O mar pra mim é maravilhoso. Eu amo o mar, é lindo demais.
O mar, pra mim, eu acho que é descoberta.
É um ambiente que você se sente tranquila, você pode sentir uma leveza na sua alma.
O mar não é só para peixes, não. O mar é pra gente também, né? Então eu acho que a palavra afeto me define muito com o mar.
Stop sharing.
Thanks. So we really do believe in the training of young humans, like a way to getting the sustainable actions to our planning. But as you can see, while the funding we received was crucial, it often fell short of covering all the action required for a long-term training program. And this is why strategic partnerships are such a vital part of our project. Um, Overall, I observed that for many small but high-impacted projects, the lack of consistent investment in training young humans remains our major challenge. The majority of investments are one-off, which is not effective for continuous training programs.
É do sul, cara. Tem sotaque de turista.
Furthermore, although critical
Bruna, can you unmute? Sorry.
Bruna, você tá sem microfone.
okay. And now, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So when it stopped, I was talking about. No? Okay, I will come back a little bit. Okay. So, furthermore, although the critical many investments require us to do a lot with limited resource, which can affect the engagement and the compensation of the participants and the team members. But despite this challenge, we continue to move forward because we believe that empowering human is planting seeds for change across all areas. Young leaders have the potential to directly influence a more sustainable future. And for this reason, if we want change, we must unite force to increase the investment in initiatives that promote gender equality and environmental conservation. Projects like ours need research to provide scholarships, ensure adequate infrastructure, fair compensation teams, and expand our reach to engage more women. Other things is reinforce public policies that protect the natural areas and encourage the inclusion of human leaders and environmental decision making. When we talk about training human for leadership, especially in global south countries, we are addressing the lack of the basic education caused by the absence of public institutions. And for last, promote a strategic partnership that amplify the impact of the social environmental project and reinforce the role of human as key players in their community. I believe we must come together to demand and to ensure that investment, both public and private, adequately meet the needs of the project and the people involved in them. We are talking about empowered women and training girls to lead conservation initiatives. And so, like this, we must also guarantee fair and equal compensation for this individual and to the project. So I invite everyone here to join this shared mission and let's invest in our human and in our ocean because both are forces of regeneration and resilience. So thank you so much. Later I can share the website of Escola do Mar and the video as well to see better. Thanks. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you so much, Bruna, for sharing. And yes, please put the link of the organization on the chat so that we all have it. Wonderful topic. And we'll leave the questions at the end once everybody goes so that we can ask you more questions. Okay, our next speaker, Farah Diba.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Um, Good morning. Good
Oh, I think your internet is going out.
afternoon and good evening. This is almost 12. Can you hear me?
I think your internet's going out. Oh, yeah.
Mm. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's
Can
it's
you hear
going
me
out a
now?
little bit. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. I'm Farah Diba. I'm one of the W20 delegates for Indonesia. And this year at the Brazil presidency, I am also a co-chair for Care Economy Working Group. Um, Ashley, can you hear me? The voice is clear or still?
We can hear you, but
Yeah.
we cannot see you.
I know I'm taking off my video because so it can hear better,
Okay.
hear clearly. But let me try once again. Because it's probably I don't know what
I think
happened.
right now it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Because earlier the internet was good. And I hope it'll be good until this session's over. So let me repeat. I'm Farah Diba Tenrilemba. I am one of the W20 delegates for Indonesia. And this year at the Brazil presidency, I am also a co-chair for Care Economy Working Group. I am also a lecturer in the University of Respati, Indonesia. I'm teaching public health, health communications, and health for mother and babies. I joined several women organizations, Women Councils Indonesia, Women Agricultural Indonesia, and All Indonesian Muslim Intellectual Associations. And tonight, I am happy to deliver a sessions of promoting balanced female leaderships in decision making. We know that today's challenge, such as climate change, inequality, resource depletions, are global in scope and require collaborative, inclusive solutions. Achieving sustainable development depends on diverse perspective, and it is here that balanced female leaderships becomes essentials. Research consistently shows that organizations and institutions with gender diverse leaderships are more innovative, equitable, and effective in addressing complex challenges. So I think all of us, need to take actionable solutions. I'm giving you four. One is strengthening representations, such as university play a pivotal role in fostering leadership. Establish mentorships programs that connect female students with leaders in their fields. Encourage institutions to review policies and ensure women to have equal access to leadership opportunities. Two, advancing policies for gender equality. Advocates for structural changes, including equal pay, maternity leave policies, and flexible working arrangements to support women in both their professional and personal lives. This is actually what we've discussed for the past year, at the W20 group. And because I'm in the care economy group, so we discuss a lot and deep about equal pay, about maternity leave policies as the ILO conventions. Number 3, empowering grassroots voices. Women at the community level are often the most effective by developmental challenges. And by integrating their insights into decision-making processes, we can ensure that policies are relevant and impactful. And the fourth one, collaborative leadership models. We can promote joint decision-making structures that bring together male and female leaders to encourage balanced, inclusive solutions. So I urge universities to embrace their role as incubators for change, incorporate gender-focused leadership training into curricula, and host forums that amplify female voices and connect students with global networks that champion gender equality, like what Power of Women do in these digital sessions. For students, I'm inviting a lot of my students here. I hope some of them are here right now. For students, you are the change makers. Advocate the equality within your organizations, demand accountability from leaderships, and actively challenge systems that perpetuate inequality. So ladies and gentlemen, sustainable development is not a goal for tomorrow. It begins with our choices today. By promoting balanced female leaderships, we not only create opportunities for women, but build resilience, inclusive systems that benefits us all. Let us unite under these shared missions to drive meaningful change. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Faradiba. This is one of the biggest topics that we have seen across working with the different engagement groups as one of the most prominent themes, this topic of the care economy, such a prominent theme this year.
And I want to add something to what Diba said. The last session, actually, which it's a part of, we are bringing the universities. Just in India, we just have 15 that we got today, and thousands of students. We have Africa. I know Her Excellency, the former Vice President of the Gambia, is here as well. I saw her earlier. So we're bringing Africa and the network of Africa, and then we are working in North America. I think, Diba, what you said exactly needs to happen, and we would love for you to be a part of that conversation of bringing all these universities together, and Indonesia, of course.
Sure. I would love to.
That's wonderful. And speaking of, we do have a professor joining us who's going to speak from South Africa. So this is probably something that she also will be interested in. Let me just get her in here. Oh, there you are. Hello, Professor Pillay. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon, colleagues. Greetings. I trust that all of you are well. So this afternoon, I'd like to talk about empowering women leaders for sustainable development, overcoming the scourge of corruption. It is indeed a wonderful opportunity to join you today as a guest speaker. I'm Pregla Pillay. I'm the director of the Anti-Corruption Center for Education and Research, and I'm a professor in the School of Public Leadership at Stellenbosch University in South Africa. We are actually quite a unique center. We do empirical work, and in addition to research, we host a large number of master's and PhD students from especially the continent. It is my pleasure today to look at the theme of empowering women leaders for Sustainable Development. Just to provide a current context, global interconnectedness marks persistent North-South inequalities, with corruption and exploitation prevalent in the global South. SDG 5, which is on gender equality, and SDG 16, which is about building peaceful and inclusive societies, provide essential frameworks for addressing these issues, particularly through a gender lens. Balanced female leadership is key to progress. Corruption, however, is a major impediment to sustainable development, disproportionately impacting on the poor and the vulnerable, especially women who represent 70% of the world's poor. Corruption limits women's access to essential services like healthcare, education, and economic opportunities. For example, bribery in healthcare and corrupt land distribution practices deny women opportunities for socio-economic progress. So what are some of the recommendations? How can women effectively participate in the fight against corruption? Firstly, we talk about promoting gender equality through Ubuntu and values-based leadership. Ubuntu is an Nguni term from the southern part of Africa, and it's about interconnectedness and collective well-being. And this is a powerful framework for ethical leadership. Ubuntu means I am because we are. Women leaders across the world, like Helen Joseph Sirleaf, Wangari Maathai, Malala Yousafzai, they exemplify important values like integrity, empathy, transparency, and these are key values of transformational leadership. Successful COVID-19 responses by female leaders such as Jacinda Ardern, Sanna Marin highlight their competence and decisiveness in crisis management. And these are transferable skills for combating corruption to foster sustainable development. I come to my next recommendation, which is on gender inclusive leadership. And this is about promoting women's leadership in all sectors. And we need to dismantle inequalities and ensure that women's voices are heard. This is not just rhetoric, but action as well. And we need to focus on mentorship, training, and representation. And I look at this particular platform of women coming from diverse backgrounds. This alone is a sense of collaboration and cooperation. We also need what is called gender-sensitive anti-corruption measures. We need to develop policies addressing women's vulnerabilities, including robust whistleblower protection, transparent audits, and equitable hiring practices. In terms of collaboration, we need to also engage men. And I'm very happy to see on this platform, there are colleagues who are joining us, and especially engaging with non-governmental organizations and civil society organizations. Might I add, I also have a group of PhD students who are researching on governance and corruption who's joined this platform. Thank you to them. We also need to promote gender equitable policies, where we develop public policies that promotes women's economic empowerment and inclusion in public life, thereby building resilience to corruption. We also need data-driven solutions. We need to use research and data to understand corruption's gendered impact and inform effective interventions. In fact, this particular project on gender and corruption is ongoing. It involves a large number of emerging and established researchers, including our PhD students. In summary, I'd like to say empowering women is crucial for sustainable development. Balanced female leadership, gender-sensitive anti-corruption measures, and collaboration are key to building a more equitable and sustainable future. We need to prioritize women's voices, equal opportunities, and resilience to corruption. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Pillai. Oh.
And it will be up to a new administration to determine what to do with that dividend. And we believe that we are absolutely.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for our speakers?
And please ask questions and let's
Okay.
as well. Please take a couple of minutes so we can let everybody talk and meet each other, because this is really about networking, and I think all of you touched upon it, collaboration. And this is what the platform is doing. We have so many people that has been participating for the past 2 days. And we also have established next steps. So after the conference, we actually have next steps of meeting again. We're very serious about coming together. So we are going to have another meeting with all these leaders from different countries, different sectors coming together. You all are invited. If you're interested, let us know. But please talk. We have Guisha, I know we have Virginia, some of these incredible people that we have worked with as well. So please talk and share.
Yeah, please, can I talk? My name is Anne Fasson. I'm from UK, and I run an NGO promoting women integration as well. But my question is from Professor Pilar. I mean, wonderful, excellent best practices that she has illustrated. But I'm concerned in environment like Nigeria, which is dominated by the male culture, and every activity, everything that we have put in place, it seems not to be working in terms of maybe anti-corruption, because there are lots of gender hierarchies where women are not able to contribute more to policy or maybe to political or leadership space. So what can we do in this scenario where it's a male-dominated structure all through?
Thank you, colleague. Che, can I go ahead?
Yes.
Thank you. I think, ma'am, patriarchy is ingrained not only in Nigeria, but in many countries across the continent, in Asia, in Latin America. So it's not just specifically in Nigeria. We have a patriarchal structure, and that structure is very difficult to dismantle. However, working with civil society organizations and non-governmental organizations and platforms like this, we need to provide education and awareness campaigns, especially to men and to traditional leaders, because many of the countries on the continent have traditional leaders, and most of these leaders are males. We have to move past and have a paradigm shift, because women have passed the dates of just being stay-home moms. They need to contribute to the economy in various ways. And I'm suggesting that we need to have very robust and vigorous education campaigns, not just in Nigeria, but in all parts of the world, because men and women need to work together as equal partners. And we need to have that voice strong and loud. And in my view, this education and training that I'm talking about, it's important to provide men, with highlighting how important the role of women are in this new century. And so my suggestion is that education and training is the way to go. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. That was wonderful. Thank you.
If I may add?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Gisha.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the women for their sharing. It's amazing. It's amazing what we can do together. And I don't have a question, but I do have something to support this. First, women have to support women, right? We don't have to be judgmental. And that's something that we have to learn and do a lot of progress, in some places more than others. But then the other thing I would like all of us to think about is that to make gender equality possible is not only about women accessing certain spaces, but it's also about men taking over certain roles that are culturally only for women, like the caring role, right? Women care, and we do have to advocate for that caring to be recognized and even paid. But we also have to advocate and find a way for men to take over, because if not, we care, we work, we make decisions, we do everything, and that's not possible. So I was thinking when Dr. Diba, I'm sorry, I don't say your name well. When you were talking about maternity leave, something that we've discussed a lot here in Argentina, also in the feminist movement, is not only making sure that all women have paid maternity leaves, but it's also guaranteeing that men have paternity leave, because it's the only way we're going to share the task. If not, it's still all on us, and it's still us losing, having to take our time from our work to take care of our children, of everything. And I'm sure you know Mabel Bianco. She is the W20 representative for Argentina, where I'm from. And she always, when she talks to other people, I always remember this, especially when there was a lot of men. She says, all the feminist advocacy will not only help and empower women, but it will also help men. And we have to take that into account. To be equal, we have to all access the same roles and share. So that's my main reflection. And I'm so happy we're here. I'm so happy also seeing women in different types of advocacy, women in science, women everywhere, but being recognized. And first of all, being recognized by us, by other women. So thank you so much. And as my final remark, I want to apologize for my government. Argentina is withdrawing from all and each international meaning, everything where gender equality is said or written. And that really does not represent us, the women from Argentina. It's not who we are. It's not what we are. And we will keep advocating and supporting all of you. And we hope you're there also for us. Thank you so much.
Colleague, can I also come in here? I also believe universities have a very important role to play. we are molding young graduates, and we need to look at the youth to bring about, paradigm shifts and roles, because there must be this, roles that are complementary. Gone are the days when men are not coming to the kitchen to wash a few dishes. Today, the society is changing. And so I believe it is very important to bring the youth to the conversation as well, because they are the ones who are ultimately our future leaders. And they need to also make possible these impacts. Thank you. And I also see there's quite a number of questions and comments on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Luckmore has a. Oh, go ahead. I think I think has Luckmore. We can have him go first.
Thank you so much, organizer, for the opportunity. And thank you to the presenters. I'm happy. Professor Clay is my is my mentor, and I was glad to hear his suggestions. Thanks also to, I think, Faradiba. I hope I pronounced your name well. You mentioned very good recommendations. And my point that I want to make today is as long as the lion is the king of the jungle, the hare's voice will remain a whisper. The problem we have is we have men at the top. If we ask ourselves today, how many countries do we have in the world, and how many countries are led by women? That is where the answer is. Prof. Faradiba and Prof. Pile mentioned the role of universities in molding youth and in dismantling these problems that we have. But ask yourself, how many universities are led by women in the world? So the whole problem is, yes, universities are there to impart knowledge, they can assist, but how many women are at the top? So my suggestion is we need to have women at the top. And when we are saying at the top, we are not talking about these token positions that we give them. We need women at the top. And also, I think the previous person who asked, is Glamena, sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, she mentioned the issue of having men. I'm glad I'm the first man to speak at this session. How many men do we have in here? So the problem we also have is when we talk about gender equality, we tend to have to align it to women issues. That's why even when you called your speakers, we had 3 women. And I'm not saying that was the criteria you used, but I'm saying let us have a balanced approach, bring in men and bring in women to discuss these issues. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lakmo, I want to add something here. You brought up a very great point. And I think Professor Pillay said this too. So something unique we noticed, we have been noticing in all our meetings is we have close to 50% of supporters, our participants, who's really leading power of women being men. They are the ones actually exactly like Lakmo shared. That's what's happening even if you visited our last call, the same thing. It was the youth, it was mostly boys, college students that were asked questions on how to be a part of the solution. So I think this is amazing to see them coming forward, and we are able to offer this platform for them to come. And thank you for the suggestions about having male speakers as well. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Her Excellency Fatimata has a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah. It's not a question, it's a modest contribution. I'm really happy to be with you today. And as you see, there are also eminent Gambian leaders joining us today through the last minute mobilization that I did. And I can assure you that you will have many more to come. But by way of contribution, I would rather say that yes, university, education, literacy, and awareness creations are important. But I think we need to start from the early childhood education, trying to mold, because we're molding hearts and minds to understand that the world is men and women. And also we need to bring in our traditional and local leaders who believe most of prominently, for instance, in the Gambia, we are predominantly Muslim society. 95% of the populations are Muslim, but also you have other religions, and we really coexisting very smoothly over the centuries, and that's what we want to continue. However, bringing them together would allow them to understand that we know what the religions are saying. For instance, in Islam, you have three verses of the Holy Quran that confines itself to the equality, gender equality, equality of choice, equality of accessing opportunities and everything. And so we need to, again, for instance, trying to bring those people, religious leaders, who are sometimes fanatics and sometimes who translate the religions, the religious books to their favor. So that's one point. The other point is molding the minds of the children from the early developmental period. Again, we should also look at leadership. What are the type of leadership that we want, what we want is to have influencers, people who can influence. Like if you are politically appointed, just like I was politically appointed, usually you have limitations because all you have to do is to run around the agenda, which is male dominated. So we need to bring in more women in the traditional stream where they can contest in politics, and supported by funders and also maybe domestic resources, so that they can have that neutrality and independence, and also have the legitimacy to represent the majority of women who are in the rural areas, particularly grassroots people. The other thing is the civil society. In Africa, the civil society, before the civil society, the other thing is that we need to ensure that we have leaders who are willing to really lobby for the enforcement of all these important instruments that have been adopted. You have the 1979 Universal Declaration of Women's Rights, which is the UN Convention on All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. You have the UN Resolution 1325, which is Women, Peace and Security. You have so many Maputo and so many instruments. And since human rights, women and girls' rights are human rights, we should ensure that as leaders at our level, we should ensure that they enforce them to the spirit and letter. And ensure that, like Nigeria, I was in Nigeria when they presented the CEDAW to Parliament, and they refused to adopt it. So what I advised when I was in Nigeria was that they can take legal actions, and they did take legal actions, but yet the number of representation in Nigeria is how many population? And if Nigeria has to take the lead, we need to work in concert with other women, African women, of course, with our partners, to ensure that Nigeria and all the countries put in women in decision-making. You look at Rwanda, how Rwanda, after the genocide of 1994, look at how Rwanda is prospering. It's moving because you have women at the center of decision-making. If you look at the wars also in the Sahel, a war everywhere, Sierra Leone, Liberia, it is the women who suffer from the brunt of war. So they should be at the epicenter of conflict resolution, management, and prevention. Climate justice, women are the managers of national resources. They should be at the center. So we have to have a cross-fertilization. We have to have education from different levels. And I do agree with the professor that we need to have data. We have to have data to influence. It should be evidence-based. Otherwise, we will continue just staying at the directorate aspect rather than really action. Then finally, is my recommendation as a part of solution would be for us to have a South-South cooperation, South-North cooperation, so that we cross-fertilize the knowledge and skills that we have. And women must also have the fund, for instance, the power of women. I would suggest that they try to explore funding for women who are interested in becoming politicians, who are political leaders. There is no way we can influence change if we are not at the center of the table. Political center, economic center, and social center. On that, on those few remarks, I would like to take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you for that, for sharing. Virginia?
How about Bonita Bonducci next?
Hi, Bonita.
Hello. I'm sorry that I am late to the call, but I was here for particularly what I'd like to contribute to is a conversation about educating men and having men and women work more effectively together. I teach a class called Gender and Engineering in the graduate engineering department at Santa Clara University in Silicon Valley. And the graduate students from all around the world. And I was also a founder of the Global Women's Leadership Network that we had at Santa Clara for over a decade. So I've seen the women respond to the way I teach as well. And my distinct focus is on I call it calling out the brilliance of women and the greatness of men, but particularly naming the competencies, and I call them the relational competencies that often women bring and sometimes men bring, but that are often unacknowledged, unnamed, and unrewarded, and sometimes even misinterpreted as being incompetent. I'll give you an example that actually my favorite story is talking to a woman by the name of Carol Bartz, who was second in command at Sun Microsystems in my early research. It was one of the biggest tech companies in Silicon Valley. And I asked her what she brought to the executive team, and she said that she brought an ability to see all the ramifications of a given issue, that for the most part, the men would focus on the highest priority problem and take the highest priority solution and put it against it and fight any fires that happened afterwards. She said, I like to prevent fires. And that's what I had identified with. We'd had a book out just recently called The Fifth Discipline, saying that we need a more systems way of thinking, organic systems way of thinking, not mechanical system. And that's what she was pointing out. She was preventing fires. And that's when I took that title, that name, that often more relational people, many of whom are women, are more fire preventers. And we need to be able to point that out. We see all the ramifications of an issue and sometimes even have solutions in terms of product development, sometimes second or third generation product development. But in terms of social concerns, it's getting into the shoes of the people that are being affected. We sometimes call this design thinking in our academic realm. But that the importance of getting into the shoes of the people that are engaged, that are the users, that are the people that are being served, that are confronted with the issues. So all of this is what I call fire prevention. I call it getting in the shoes of the customer. Often people talk about customer focus, and the more individualistic people will say, I'm customer focused, but they say, I know what's best for the customer. But the more relational people get into the shoes of the customer and look from there. So to be able to identify these differences, and my other favorite distinction, and then I'd be happy to share this more extensively another time, but at least in the United States, and I've heard people around the world to some extent identify that often when an idea is brought up, we have a response in the room of we call it devil's advocate. which is usually questioning an idea, poking holes in it, showing the weaknesses of it, trying to bulletproof the idea. Well, relational people are offended by this because we're looking through the lens of connection. And what we want to do is, and what I've named it, it was actually one of the men in one of my workshops who named it, said, why don't we call it Angel's Advocate? Because we like to build ideas. And see, ultimately my focus is on giving names to these different competencies so that they can be valued and looked for and even put on job requirements, and looking for people with these competencies, and be able to teach people by using the names of these competencies. And it's actually, of course, I'm disappointed by what has occurred in the United States politically. I would like to do a portrait of Kamala Harris as and point out both these, how she has both the relational competencies and she can also express and demonstrate the more individualistic. But I know, for instance, she said the other day that she likes to listen to everyone before making a decision. And that's typical relational systems thinking and inclusion. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. The men have been very responsive to this. I have waiting lists to get into my class, both men and women, because the men learning to work with these differences are also more promotable because they're so effective in having creative teams. So it's not leaving the men out. It's definitely including, ultimately producing results that are beyond either one alone. So that's my contribution. I'd love to contribute more sometime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bonita. Great points. So much to unpack from that. So many different points there. I want to, before we go to Faradiba, I just want to point out that Bruna brought up a really great point. A lot of girls, you know, they don't make it to university, right? Because they have to drop out to take care of their parents. So it does start from early childhood. So yeah, very good point, and very unfortunate that those two girls had to drop out of your program because you have a wonderful program. Faradiba.
Yeah, I just want to point it out that since I joined the W20 delegates, and maybe later Frigidia, of course, can add. I believe the status of women in every country are different. I mean, some of countries still doesn't have proper educations for women. Some countries, worry about there is no, little opportunity for women and so on and so forth. And I believe every country, has their way to give that to women. As per today, for example, in Indonesia, um, uh, the economic empowerment, let's say, giving huge opportunity to women, especially for small enterprises. Because let's say the late 2020 COVID, 60% of our economy is successfully, be saved by women-owned small enterprises. So therefore, I am so believe that we could reach the target. We could reach later on the equality. And then second of all, we need to force the woman-led development. Like everybody just, the past 1 hour have been saying that, centering women in all developmental process and increasing their representation in decision making at all levels are our target, are important, highlighted, underline. So that's it. I mean, every country has their status of where woman stands right now. Thank you.
That was such great points. And we have Virginia, and after Virginia, we have somebody we want to highlight that just came on, Tobias. But I'll let Ashley and Virginia continue, but please highlight Tobias afterwards, Ashley.
Of course. Yes, Virginia.
So I guess I have assorted thoughts popping in my head. I could go on for an hour, but I know we only have a few more minutes. So one is the importance of building the ecosystem for gender equality. I've been very focused on building the ecosystem for women's entrepreneurship for multiple decades now. But I think that we need to build coalitions. We need to work on the education system to build out things. We need to work on the care economy. We need to train people to become leaders, like Her Excellency was saying. We really need to have strategies to drive impact. We need to be able to share case studies and best practices across countries. One thing I noticed in 1979 and 1980 in the United States was men who had only daughters and no sons became major supporters of what we were doing. And we found a couple of men in entrepreneurship, one with 4 daughters, no sons, another 5 daughters, no sons. And those 2 men became 2 of our greatest champions. That was one strategy that worked. When I shared that idea with Australia many decades ago, Australia created Male Champions of Change, and that became a major initiative, awards, and so forth for people turning it into men who were doing important things for women. Another piece is that we need to always be emphasizing that what we are doing is not in any way designed to take opportunities away from men, but to improve opportunities for our communities, for our countries, and to grow the economic pie in a way that benefits everyone, creating jobs, creating new innovations, etc. And I think that we need to be thinking of ourselves as transformational leaders who will be creating the world that we want to see. I feel like we have to take a long view of history. It took a long time to get women's suffrage in many countries around the world. We're dealing right now in some countries with a very strong backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion. COVID slowed things down as well. But we now have the power of digital transformation. We have the power of artificial intelligence. We have the power of many women who are becoming more and more capable leaders. And we have the digital power of women in this forum and the Women's 20 and some of the other W20 engagement groups to share knowledge and best practices across the world. So we have an enormously important mission, those of us in this room and all of the other fora that we are working in, to really move the needle in a way that advances women, men, children, and everybody and everything living on the planet.
Absolutely. And that's what these forums are for all of us to connect and move that forward. I think so. We have a few hands up, and we have Tobias as well. Um, Tobias, do you want to say hi real quick? And then
Maybe we can go to Gustavo and then maybe
yes.
there you go, Tobias is here.
Oh, hi. Uh, it's a pleasure to be joining you all here on the call. I'm Tobias Naruki from Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh, I think you broke.
I
Yeah.
think I want to add something here. So we were talking about men being supporters, men being involved. We were introduced to Tobias through Professor Vinod, who was a part of C20 India. And like we said, we have a lot of men supporting us, and he has been instrumental in really supporting DPOW this year. They don't really speak much, they don't really ask for credit. We have a lot of men on our team that just does not care about getting credit. They just like keep going, keep moving forward. So thank you, Tobias. That's why I wanted to recognize him. Thank you for all that you do. And please do take some time to speak. And we would love to hear from Gustavo as well.
Hi all. Well, it's a pleasure being here. My name is Gustavo. Well, it's a just quick question. I'm from Brazil. I work with Bruna in the Escola do Mar. And again, it's a really pleasure being here. Apparently, I'm the second man speaking here or question it, but the question is about funds for projects. So we saw here that the change for female leadership in decision making passes for many parts and levels, but must pass through a change in laws by a governmental instance, but also in our society structures. It means that we need focus on in education to change it and to promote opportunities for female, like Professor Pillay said to us. But about the funds, well, in environmental instance, for example, we have funds for it. And in other parts of our society also we have it funds for it. Do we have the questions because I really don't know. Do we have the International Female Fund for project to promote female leadership in decision making? Thank you.
Colleagues, unfortunately, we do not have funding. And I think we would need funding to make inroads into this very important area of research. And I would hope that international organizations also take cognizance of the fact that this type of research will help many countries. So it's just very difficult to access funding to be able to do projects like this. And well, that's why on the chat, I wrote there, I welcome North-South cooperation, but also South-South cooperation as well. And that's one of the reasons why I did that, so that we could work together, and research is one component of it. So, Gustavo, if you're going to bring funding to the center, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
And it's very interesting, this question, Gustavo, because we're involved in these international forums, such as the G20 forum, where so many different activities happen, so many different dialogues, and it's one of these global forums where different countries come together to discuss such topics. Especially now, the G20 summit is being held right now, and these decisions are happening right now, and all the engagement groups have worked very hard this year to put these policy recommendations together, so that we can actually access funding, so the funding can trickle down. And so I'd be curious to hear maybe from Virginia or for any of the members that have been participating in this forum for a very long time. What is how do we track progress in this?
Well, I would say that at the G20 level, the University of Toronto has a tracking method for, and they have researchers around the world. I only know about the women's entrepreneurship part, but I know the 7 or so other engagement groups. The number may have gone up slightly this year. But the Business 20, Science 20, Think Tank 20, Social, etc., Youth 20, all of those are fed in and analyzed by the university with researchers that they're working with in different parts of the world. I've talked with the team at the G20 during India's presidency, I believe, but we also need, in my opinion, to be able to monitor and see progress with the recommendations from the Women's 20. The OECD in Paris is doing some of that, but it's really important, in my opinion, that we come up with a dashboard or a scorecard so that we can see progress. One of the challenges that we deal with is the issue that everything is done by consensus within the G20. And this year, and the representative on this call from Argentina mentioned her concerns and apologies about things Argentina has not approved this year. We don't know yet what from the W20 is going to be in the G20 Leaders Declaration. We personally believe across all 5 of our working groups that our recommendations are really good for G20 economies, good for other economies that are not G20, good for the planet, etc., and economically viable. I really agree with the need for having funding to see that some of these things have momentum behind them. I think advocacy, social media, getting researchers bought in. I have potential access to hundreds of researchers on women's entrepreneurship around the world. If we could come up with funding mechanisms that could look at this more broadly, including the development side of things, the sustainability side of things, how the care economy relates to all of this, I think we really would have the ability to move the needle. And it cannot be on groupthink at the level of people who've been working on these issues 20, 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, who are sort of stuck in old paradigms. I think it's enormously important that we get a lot of young people involved with this, that we get research that enables us to do evidence-based policy making, and that we have an advocacy voice of young people who will be inheriting the planet and need to do a better job than my generation and several that have come behind me have managed to do with some of the crucial issues that we're facing as a planet.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to add? I know we've gone over time at this point, but we're hitting on very crucial topics here. And of course, we are going to continue to bring together different people from around the world. That's what our platform is doing. So we can continue these conversations, and not just to have these conversations. How do we move forward and take action as global civil society? Tobias?
Okay, thank you so much, Ashley. I would like to echo what Virginia just said. Creating synergy and collaborating together to do joint projects. We'll have so many people, we'll have so many folks in time with the other forum. But now, what is the impact at the end of it? creating synergy as we can today, bringing such experts from different parts of the world with different um, rich professional backgrounds, different expertise coming from different lines of industry to discuss on such a forum and find a solution. What we are becoming very important and critical that we persistently go forward to continue and now build.
Tobias, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We cannot hear you. Your sound is going off, and I think you're saying something important, but your sound's going off. Maybe bring the microphone closer.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Wow, thank you. I will repeat what I had just said. I was speaking on this need to build synergy, a working, a work, different working groups tackling different issues, and also mobilizing funds on a given specific projects that will help each and every institution present here and those who look forward to be enjoined in different coalitions under this platform, the power of women, to be able to continue this conversation. This conversation may not end here, but what we are brainstorming is very important that we synergize and bring together our expertise to help each other grow, but without forgetting that we will have so many forums. But the most important thing is what are the impact we gain at the end of each and every forum, like the G20. What is the outcome document? Is it going to be implemented? And who are the implementers? We have the task to do. Let's keep on the conversation. And through this, creating this rapport and relationship will synergize our work and maybe go and join our working groups that will help us to grow better. Thank you.
Thank you, Tobias. Fatoumata?
I would like to say that we also critically look at the care work. Predominantly, women want to balance their lives, spend some time, quality time with their families. And more so, we are talking about single parents. I think we need to, as researchers and also people in different areas, it's important that we look at how we can bring in the national accounting system to value the work of women, productive, reproductive, and care work, because these are the instruments that can enable women leaders to lobby for support for the woman who decides to stay home and take care of her children. Because in order to have a balanced development and mind of children, we definitely need some time, parents need some time with their families. The other thing is that we have so much money. Africa, I'm recommending that we African leaders who are here around, and as we grow, we do as much as possible to lobby the African Union, which is representing Africa and the continent, to come on board, join the G20, so that most of the perspectives and the realities of the African women and girls can be articulated at that level and supported by the power of women and other organizations. Number three, I have a lady, a very eminent lady, Nafi Bari, who is on board here on the platform, coming with many years of experience in the trade and economic sector. She has served the nation, and now she's a leader of an organization, a growing organization called the Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce. We have many organizations in the microfinancing sector. So I would recommend that the power of women perhaps organize a meeting with women who are engaged in the microfinancing sector, economic sector, to have some conversation with women in Africa and other parts of the country, parts of the world, so that we can see how much they can share their best practices and how also they can help us explore funding for these women enterprises in development. Because we talk about, and also an element of helping women to articulate their own priorities by engaging them in project design, project management, and monitoring and evaluation. Because that is the only way we can empower them to have national ownership or community-based ownership. We cannot continue to drive the seat, be in the driver's seat. As rural communities, they know what they want. All they need is support and also help them to articulate those priorities from the conceptual framework to the project design, management, and evaluation. That way, at the end of the day, when international support leaves, then there can be sustainability. Thank you so much.
If I could just add one sentence to what Her Excellency was saying, I think that could also be a specific initiative we could take up with the 6 agencies that are part of the Women's Entrepreneurship Accelerator. It includes UN Women, UN Development Program, etc. And they have many other issues other than women's entrepreneurship they're focused on. I work very closely with them, and I think that's a terrific idea. I think we should figure out how we make it a proposal to the 6 agencies apart from their accelerator program.
Thank you.
Tobias?
I also join my African mother, the former Vice President, and Miss Virginia, although speaking from the gentleman perspective. Empowering also women in the research is one of the things that we can leverage on. Giving a platform to young women who are aspiring to the research, because the time is very limited. As Professor Pile has said, institutions are present in different parts of the world. Women have not been given a privilege, even a platform to do research and accelerate their ideas in the global stage. So supporting them through this, empowering them, encouraging them, giving them space will help to empower so many women across the world. Then also leveraging on supporting women in marginalized communities across the world. Today, many countries across the world, speaking specifically on African continent, have been left out. So also giving such a platform, through this platform we have accelerating ideas and ambitions all women have, and grow, support, give them a chance to be able to manifest and also work through kind of things that we can work on. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to speak in the presence of so many women around the world. Thank you. And congratulations to the women for the wonderful work across the world.
This was a great dialogue. I know we went over, but definitely something we should continue to continue the conversation, continue the work. Tobias's idea of working groups, establishing that, and also seeing how we measure progress. I think we need to continue. We need to find a way how we can do this. So we should definitely continue this conversation. I know somebody on the chat asked, how can we all keep connected with each other? I don't know if anybody has any ideas. For us, we were going to continue to maybe provide space for you all to come and join, and we can communicate that way.
I also want to add as next steps. So I am talking to a few professors that was a part of the Digital Power of Women conference this year. And Virginia, we're going to invite you to that meeting as well. And anybody interested, please let us know. We're bringing universities, professors, and students to really exactly what you all have been discussing. We're really working with universities to use that as a way of disseminating information and also getting advocacy, because these are the young individuals who are online, who's using the digital space, who has the energy. And actually, this is our future at the end of the day. It really is very relevant to us. So we are bringing all of them together. So if any of you want to be a part of this network, we call it the Global University Network that we have been building for the past few months. And we have professors from some of the most prestigious universities to all the G20 nations, not all, some of the G20 nations, most of the G20 nations. So we would really love for you all to be a part of it. We'll put our information in. You should have it as well. But message us. We're going to arrange a meeting in the next coming months or weeks, I would say, for you all to be a part to really discuss next steps, really putting things together, a process, and taking action. So just want to share that with you all.
So, colleague, may I just find out? So, would you be creating a WhatsApp group, or, would we be receiving an email so that we could join this? How would this work? Because
Yes.
I wouldn't want us to leave and then we sort of lose momentum or touch with each other. Thank you.
Yes, so if you did, you all received a registration, so we can continue that way. If you put your emails on the chat, I will be sure to connect us all via email. So just I'm saving the chat so that we can have all of these emails, and then we will make sure to connect you all. So if you haven't, just put your email on the chat, and we will be sure to send you an email.
And one of the most important things we emphasize with any of these meetings is it's not just coming to speak and then never seeing each other again. This is a community we are building. It's a community of people. We're getting to know each other. The digital space really allows us that. And we were part of building policy recommendations for C20 this year in digital transformation and AI governance. So I think it's very important we use the digital space to connect. So definitely let's keep the momentum going. We have incredible women and men who are on board. We have thousands of students as of now. I'm sure the number is going to go up, that are very dedicated, want to be a part. So definitely Ashley, please send an email so we can all connect and continue.
Yes, I'll do that today. And also want to mention that this was a part of our Digital Power of Women conference, and this is a part of a G20 social event. If you're interested in learning more, I know some of us are from the G20 forum, but if you want to get more involved, or if you want to know more, if you could go to our website, we have all the different engagement groups that we're highlighting this year. Just amazing people talking about different policy recommendations put forth for the G20 leaders that are meeting today and tomorrow. And if you have your students, I know some of you are professors, this is great information for your students as well, so that they can learn about, what these global conversations, what these global decision-making processes look like. All right. Thank you.
I think there were two hands up. Should we just let them just quickly share something? I saw Dr. Sunita, you had your hand up, and but just to make sure we all say something.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anali. Actually, I want to actually interact with you people, and I'm from India. Last session I have joined, and I'm working with the energy in renewable energy. And presently, I'm spokesperson of Uttarakhand government. So last session, DG Durgesh Pant and Dr. Reema Pant has joined your session. That's why I look familiar, you know. So I'm very much delighted to listen you all people and wonderful women of in every country. And in politics, women can raise their voice because our government has done very much steps regarding women and women empowerment for rural women and urban women. So we are actually 50% generation. So our government has doing very well, and taken a very good steps for women empowerment. So I'm very thankful to you all people here, and listen many things regarding our achievements and our struggles, and of course our presence in every sector. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita, and very happy that you joined from the last session, and we will continue to connect. Tobias, did you have a question or wanted to
Mine
say
wanted
something?
just to echo on what others have said and acknowledge the fact that we are privileged to have on this call um, High Excellency Fatimata Chalo, former Vice President of the Gambia, who also sits at the helm of the African Union Council. Having such people among us, very prominent men in Africa and the world, very, very important. I call upon each and every lady. I've worked with women in different sectors. I'm glad to be working with women on this call, so many others, using this privilege to connect via such a platform. It may not be physical as mandatory, required, but through this personal engagement via Zoom and continuous engagement in other platforms gives us a privilege to connect each other, to be able to understand how each and every person here does each and every aspect of professionalism and other areas of engagement. The Power of Women has given you a platform. Let us mobilize other women before even any other forum that may come. The conversation may not end here, but we have a privilege to have so many women joining this call. For us to be powerful, it's for us to connect with others. For us to be powerful, to hold each other's hand. And that's the only way, as Ashley and the rest have said, men are powerful as women are powerful too. Every assignment we do, no gender should be discriminated, and I'm happy that we are all here listening to each other and contributing. Thank you, and let's continue connecting.
Thank you. Manikanta?
Hello, good evening. Nice to talk to you. I've been listening to all the speakers patiently, so it was a great uh, insights that I get. I'm Manikanta. I represent Ayuth India. So, so whatever the speakers have uh, put forward, the women leadership, uh, the paternal leaves. So I think these are the coming. This generation is also thinking in the same ways. I am 26 years old, and my age people mostly are thinking, why don't we have this kind of a policies when there was maternal uh, maternity act that was passed in our parliament. There were a lot of discussions, not recently, but the ongoing discussion, the cases come up, and then continuously our young generation who are now below 30 are thinking how equal opportunities for women also will empower them. And this point I liked it very much, what the uh, speaker has told today. That with paternal leave is also a way forward so that it enhances the economic participation. So that's a takeaway point. And rest of the empowerment aspects, Amma is walking the talk. Uh, we have been seeing how the G20 leadership, C20 leadership of Amma has uh, the activities that we had followed were very fruitful, and they were also very much resourceful. So taking this, I'm glad that I got this opportunity, and I thank every one of the speakers and the participants here. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you. I want to address what he's representing. So Ayud is an organization by Amma, who was the chair of C20 India. And it's an initiative by her that has, please correct me if I'm wrong, but has over 5,000 students, youth, that are actually actively working in the community, doing service, taking action. They're not just talking and sitting around, they're taking action, empowered by Amma. So I'm very thankful you actually joined. Ayud is one of the organizations.
I've been listening to the speakers, and Ma'am Pillai and Sunita ma'am earlier. Uh, mm, uh, I couldn't pronounce some names. I'm very a little bit uh, not familiar with the names, and there is a lot of Latin American names. It's good talking to you.
Thank you for joining us. And yes, Ayud is actually an organization that we work with as well. It engages the youth a lot across different countries. So thank you for joining us. We know it's very late for you over there in India as well. So
Yeah, pretty.
yes.
No problem. But I enjoyed each and every one of your insights. I think
It's
purposefully
11:37.
Swamiji has sent us men to join the. Earlier, I didn't know before joining that it was a women's conference. But Swamiji asked me to join, and then now I am very glad that he has made such a decision
Okay.
to get insights from all the women doing good.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting and for joining. Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
I'll think of more men. In future, I'll ask more men to join this kind of conferences.
Wonderful. We welcome the men. So many men supporting. So thank you. All right.
We should move towards such essentialism. In feminism, there is something called essential feminism. Thing that where we cooperate and complement each other's qualities, and then grow up. So Amma's vision, I think Amma has been doing so lately that, but in today's terminology, the feminist terminology, it would be called essential feminism.
You'd actually really enjoy talking with Bonita. Bonita was mentioning just different qualities of, between men and women.
Exactly. I saw her. I saw the Professor Madam Baluchi.
Yes.
Bonita
We
Baluchi.
will, we
Yeah.
will connect
Hi, ma'am.
everybody. Everybody here has so
Nice.
much to offer, and we will definitely start something.
Nice.
Yeah, email us and we'll stay connected. This is going to continue. We will take a couple of days of rest because we have been working nonstop, sleepless nights. So we will take a couple of days to sleep. For the past few months, we have been working on recommendations. With C20, we had to wake up at 3 in the morning for C20 engagement groups in Brazil, 3 or 4. So we're very excited we got to be a part. We will see the results about what the C20 leaders accepted in their final declaration as well. So let's keep the momentum going. Please email us. And if you have our numbers, WhatsApp us. Let's stay connected. And this is a community we are building. So now you're a part of a community with people from around the world. So thank you so much for joining.
Have a good night. Have a good evening. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Ashley.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Virginia.
God bless.
Thank you so much.